what you're seeing here is exactly what you get when you meet me in person.
And I get hate comments that I'm body shaming cookies.
You were right.
It's like I was right. And we have it on recorded that I was right.
You were right. You could reinvent yourself every 5 years if you wanted to. So I think it's what's cool about social media in my mind is that you get to see all that more. Whereas prior, we were only able to see what the media was showing us on the news, for example, or on shows. Now with social media, you can see thousands and thousands of examples of men, women, older people, younger people changing their paths and finding new direction. Hi, everyone. We are more than just a mother-daughter duo. We are best friends, business partners, dance partners, and more. Despite living on opposite sides of the country, we talk every single day. And we talk about it all: work, life, social media, shopping, family, our hopes, our dreams, our goals. Nothing is off the table. And we are inviting you into the chat. Go for it.
You took all my
I know,
lines.
I realize that. Keep going. Just do the rest.
Okay. This is yours truly, a glimpse into what goes on behind the TikToks and inside our conversations together, even the extremely long tangents. When you join the chat, you're not just a listener, you're officially part of the fam.
Okay, good.
And today, we're really bringing you into the chat.
We sure are.
Because we're taking lots of questions from all of you wonderful people.
Yes, and I want to start it off by saying, first of all, thank you for everyone who has been listening. It has been really exciting to see the comments, the reviews, the messages that I'm getting at home on my texts and my, in my DMs. It's really, really amazing. So thank you for that. And I want to just share a few things that I've gotten personally that I think are relevant to what we've been talking about the past few episodes. So first off, I'll say my friend Diane, when she heard the episode about talking about how I missed things when I was working, and I think it was episode 2 where I was kind of crying about things I missed when, you guys were growing up and I was trying to get home. And she wrote me, I remember making all the birthday cakes for the kids' parties and all of that, and then they begged me, can I have a store-bought cake? So she thought it was really funny that her kids, she was making less effort, and then her kids just wanted the cake from Costco.
I mean, Costco makes some killer cake, so I don't
know. You can relate to that one.
I can relate.
You like a good Costco cake. And
sometimes a store-bought cake really hits the spot.
Okay, fair enough. I'm surprised you're saying that as a baker who does her own baking, so pretty impressive. All right.
Well.
So my friend Anna, who I've worked with, she was an editor when I was early in my career, and now she travels the world. She's so incredible. She's Australian, plus she has a great accent, so I can picture this with her accent. But she wrote me that she literally remembered so many of the moments and things that I missed because she was with me in an edit room when I was trying to get home. And she said that when she heard me talking about it, she couldn't believe it, and she just remembers it all like it was yesterday. She also said I was her favorite boss for the same reasons you mentioned, which is clear communication, understanding how all the equipment worked, and also believing in the person that you're working with. So that was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Can I share one more?
Of course.
Okay, let's do it. So my friend Ellen actually said that her mother's guilt, actually, she thinks that we all have mother's guilt, no matter what we choose to do. And I had a TikTok follower also that made me a video and said the same thing about how, you think you're doing the right thing when you're a stay-at-home mom, you think you're doing the right thing when you go to work, you're trying to do it. And it's really hard to know because the guilt gets you no matter which side of the fence you're on. So my friend Ellen was listening to me and she was like, no, don't cry. You did the right thing. You did good. So it was really nice to hear that positive feedback. And she remembered me talking about my career at her daughter's Girl Scout meeting. So she brought me right back to how even though I was doing all these things, I was still, potentially a role model to her daughter. So it was really... Those are the messages that make me think we are doing the right thing and we're here for a reason. And I thank everyone for those. Really, truly. Truly is our word, I think.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Do you have any other ones?
I want to just mention Olivia. This is slightly off topic, but I think it's adorable that my niece Olivia, who loves to listen to the podcast too, she actually commented that a core memory was unlocked when she remembers that when I mentioned working with famous people in one of the pods, and she remembers when I mentioned working with Rihanna, and she found out Anne Helen's working with Rihanna, and she was like, core memory unlocked. So I thought that was really very cute. And I have friends' daughters, Alyssa specifically, who listens on her drive to work because she gets very anxious when she's driving, and she said that our voices relax her, and we could probably read her a grocery list, and she'd feel calm.
I love that because I sometimes hate the sound of my voice.
Really? I love the sound of your
yeah.
voice.
My voice. Remember when I used to be so raspy, like as a little baby, I had like the little raspy toddler voice.
You
I sounded like
did.
a chain smoker at like 4 years old.
We'll have to pull some of those out and play the videos because you did have a very raspy voice.
Yeah,
Now my
so
voice sounds raspy today compared to what it usually is. Yours is nice and smooth.
Well, thank
love it.
you. Maybe it's just my calm exterior.
Yes, pulling it together.
All right.
All right. So without further ado, Julie, take us through some questions that were shared.
Yeah. Let's start with, this is a question from our producer, Grace. I just feel like it's a great one to get started with. How do we deal with so many people feeling like they know us from our social media presence? And do we ever talk about the bad or weird comments?
Okay, you want me to
This
start?
one I feel like is more for you because you share a lot more than I do.
I do. Okay, so first off, I often get people in the comments that will say, I feel like I know you. And my response is always, you do know me, because what you're seeing here is exactly what you get when you meet me in person. So I think that's funny. And I've met a few of the TikTok followers that I've gotten connected with, and I've met them in real life, and they're always like, you're just the same. And I'm like, what are they expecting me to be? But I guess there are people that are on social media as one persona, and then in their real life, they maybe are different or more comfortable or something. And I'm kind of the same across the board. So to me, it's like, you do know me, by the way. And then the negativity, I always ignore. I am not a fan of listening to the negativity, engaging in the negativity, and even giving it its due. You know, like, I try to just let it go. And sometimes it's hard because it will stay in there and it will fester. But I just try to not call attention to it because that's inviting in that bad karma, and I'm not about it. I'm just like, deflect.
No, you're about the Helen karma.
What do you? What about you? You get more negativity than me.
I know. I post like the most random videos sometimes, and I get the most unnecessarily mean comments. And I'm like so confused by it because you post all this stuff all the time, never get a negative comment in the world.
I know.
And I post a video about like how to make your cookies look more round when they come out of the oven. And I get hate comments that I'm body shaming cookies.
That was the most ridiculous thing. And you had a lot of negative comments on that video.
So many negative comments. I posted about the rain in LA because we just moved to LA for warmer winters. And I posted a humorous TikTok about how the weather has been like recordly breaking wet and like cold. And just joking like, oh, I moved from Chicago and this is the weather. Like I brought Chicago weather here. And people are just like, you're complaining about one day of rain? I'm like, this is a joke. I don't know. But
a lot of times people just don't get the humor out there, you know?
Yeah.
Or they just don't want to get the humor. They need to take you down.
But
my take on that a little bit is that your audience is probably very different than mine. I tend to probably attract older people, maybe people who are like looking up to a mom figure. I have a lot of younger followers, but I don't really, you are attracting more peers. And I think sometimes your peers and your age group is much more hard on each other than
ruthless.
Right. They're ruthless. It's like, wow, you know?
Insanity.
So, I mean, I credit you for not taking it on. And I know a lot of that is me saying, just ignore it. Because I know you want to like go after sometimes your competitive spirit.
I'm competitive. I also just like, I will stand up for myself.
Yeah.
And like I will clap back in a polite way at the haters and add a smiley face and just be like, it's a joke. Smiley face, smiley face, smiley face.
I know, but you can be so snarky, and sometimes your responses, I'm like, ooh. I mean, they're so good.
They are good. I think it's interesting that a lot of people feel like they know me from social media. I'll say my perspective really quick. And I try not to think about how many like random people in the world know me because I feel like that would just freak me out. I more think it's funny how people who follow me, who I'm like loosely connected with, know so much about me. Like friends from high school. I was catching up with one the other day and I felt like she knew everything that was going on with me because everything's just posted on, between me and you, everything we're doing is posted. So that is like an interesting dynamic. I post a lot. Steven doesn't post at all, which is fine. But it's funny because like his whole family has like updates on what we're doing because of my content, and it's cute and it's fun. And I love posting, so I don't really like try and think about it in a bad way. I think it's more like fun, that sharing like fun things that I'm doing.
I think
So-
that brings us to the next question, by the way, which is why does Steven refuse to be in TikToks? 'Cause
Oh, I thought this was going to lead into another question.
Go ahead. We should tell who the
Well, we can
questions are
just-
from. Go ahead.
Okay, well, we can go to that one. This one is from Steven's friend, though.
Okay, good enough.
This is from Steven's friend Michael, and asking, why does Steven refuse to be in TikToks? Because I don't pressure him to be in the TikToks. He doesn't want to be in social media, and I respect that. And like the moments he does want to be in my TikToks, I'm like overjoyed, and it's like it's more special because the moments he does want to be involved, I like cherish them, and then the moments where he doesn't, I like respect it. And I know Dad also similar stance, doesn't partake in social media at all, but like in a much more aggressive. It's like when he cut out bread for like 2 years and was like, I'm not eating bread. I'm not eating any carbs, and like didn't touch a piece of carb for like 2 years. That's how he was about social media, but like forever.
Oh, right. Forever. Oh, gosh. I think he just really was like, this is your thing, and he is just letting me be with it. And that's just fine.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't need to
It's fine.
muddle in your waters.
Exactly. It's like, I don't know. Oh, Taylor Swift has a great lyric about this, about like,
Which is?
I can't remember it, but of course I'm like blanking, but it's like, you know, because everything's so public with her and like her relationships, but now her like relationship with Joe is like very private, and it's like just because people aren't seeing it doesn't mean there's no like love there.
Yes.
And so it's like really interesting, 'cause it's like the best kept things can be private. So like you
Absolutely.
don't have to put your
And that can be
social-
seen
your-
by the people who do share all their relationships on social media, and then they end up breaking up, and you think this was this perfect.
And then you can tell.
My God.
The best is like investigating when you think someone has broken up with their significant other on social media, and then you start like digging, and you're like, they haven't posted with them in like
Right.
6 months. Like,
Right.
what happened here? Like, I haven't seen this person in like 10 years, but I'm like invested.
That's so funny.
And I think all my friends kind of have that little investigator inside of them. I think that women in their 20s would be the best CIA agents because of all the sleuthing we do on social media and figuring things out. We would fucking kill it. And like, I don't understand why FBI, CIA doesn't take advantage of this. Like, we're so good at it.
It's true. There's a girl that I follow that she can figure out what someone's birthday is or whatever.
Yeah.
And she can do it and she goes and sometimes they don't have profiles. I'm like, this woman, she has a skill set. They need to bring her in.
Okay. Okay, you know what? You know how there's like the financial forensic people who like figure out crimes by like looking at bank statements and like all that stuff and figure out that stuff? You know what? In like 20 years, it's going to be like social media forensic people that like figure out crime. Well, I mean, people do figure out crimes and stuff on social media because
true.
so many people get involved. But like, maybe that's going to be a thing one day. Like social media forensic people who are like, maybe it already is a thing.
Maybe it is already. We don't even know. That's so funny.
Anyway, we can move on to the next question.
right, go.
The one I thought we were going to move on to was from, this is a very long username, S. Reverend Dwarf.
Okay.
You're so incredibly brave. Why did you choose to share your journey battling cancer with the world?
Oh, okay. I looked at that and I actually was thinking about the last episode where I did mention it briefly, that when I was recording myself going through the situation, even before I was posting about it, it was more for me documenting, and it was my only way of expression about what I was going through. So I would take out my phone and record, and half the times never did I think this would see the light of day, but it was more like documenting because that's what I was doing for my social media. I was like, oh, now we're at a recording studio and this is what we're doing today. So, my time was being spent. Now I'm at the doctor and we're trying to figure out what's going on here. So it was just a continuation of me documenting, but not sure if I was really ever going to post that or at least how much of it was going to get posted, because it was more for my own self-therapy. It was like getting me through the days, and it was keeping me on track of what did we do yesterday. And I think it really helped me. And then when I decided, well, I have to let my followers know what's going on. I have so many people asking, where am I after 2 weeks? So when we decided to do it, I was prepared that I was going to open up the door and let people in. And I'm really glad I did. Because I just think so many people didn't know what it's like to have someone going through chemo in their life, or, I've never been touched by someone that I know closely going through it, so I don't even know what it's about. So I feel like I know from the response that I was meant to do it.
Yeah, definitely. And I was honestly looking back through my content from the whole chemo cancer journey, and I really didn't post on my end. I realized looking back, I didn't really make a ton of content about your cancer journey, even though it deeply affected me.
Right.
It's almost like I had the opposite thing where it's like, I have to deal with this
Right.
mentally first, and then I can like make content about
Right.
it, or, you know, me and you finding the humor in
Right.
things and making like really humorous, dark jokes about it.
Which is so much
Or-
fun because you are
Which
funny.
was
And then you'll
fun.
have the idea. And I'm like, yes, we're doing that. It's so funny.
So, like, the only videos I really also posted were like, not to say I'm not showing like the good and the bad. I'm just not very good at like when I'm in a dark moment crying and talking to my camera the way, like,
way I do.
you feel like it's a coping thing. So I posted more like uplifting-y kind of things. But yeah, I just thought that was like interesting how
Yeah.
I didn't really document like.
No, but I do think it's like my nature is, as a TV director, even I've been doing so many documentary style things where it's storytelling. And so even when I was going through it and I said, man, I don't know that I want to record this, it was like, but it's the true part of the story. So even
Yeah.
though a lot of times people will say, why'd you take out your camera when you were that upset? You couldn't have been that upset. Actually, I had to, at times, force myself to document the things that weren't that comfortable because I didn't want
Yeah.
to tell half a story. I didn't want to be lying. Like, it's all good, people. It's all good. It was good most of the time.
Yeah.
But then it was like, it sucks today. I'm going to tell you the truth. And so I just
Yeah.
I had to force myself to do it so that I was telling the whole truth. I didn't want to tell half a story. That's what it was.
That's good. Cool.
All right, take us
So
to
we
another
answered
one.
that question. Okay.
I like that you're in charge of the questions today.
All right. Next question I will go with is from Foxy on TikTok. And she asked, I think she asked this during a live, and I pulled the question because I thought it was a good one.
Okay.
Were we always so close as like a mother-daughter?
What's funny is I should ask you that question because as a mom, I want to believe we always were. And I know sometimes
I think you know how I stand on
I
this.
know, but
like, I
I
don't
think-
think you need to.
Well, I think being a daughter, I know that sometimes you get annoyed at your mom, and it's like my mom's annoying, you know. So I've obviously maybe you wouldn't tell me the times that I wasn't that I was on your nerves or whatever. But I mean, I would say yes for the most part. We've been close always. And I remember one time on a commercial shoot, there was a mom and a daughter, and she was about 13 years old, and we were filming them for some toy product. And the daughter was like 13, and she was sitting on her mom's lap, and they were so lovey-dovey. And you, at the time, were maybe 2 or 3. And I was like, oh, my God, I pray that my daughter, when she's 13, she'll still want to sit on my lap and that we're so close as you guys are. I remember this moment so specifically because she said, it's really what you make of your relationship. And if you stay in the same space you are now, you'll always have the same closeness. And I was like, okay, she's right. And I just think it happened
like,
naturally because
took
that's
some
who we
notes.
were. Take
Yeah.
some notes. Go ahead.
I think we've always been close. I think it's also a result of being the only daughter in the family with 2 brothers. And like, you know, whenever we'd have girl time, it was always just me and you. And I think, so I think we were always close. And I like that. I kind of joke sometimes. I'm like, oh, I'm going to have a bachelorette party one day. It's just going to be me and mom. Like, that's going to be the bachelorette party. That's it. But no.
Well, fun that I'm going to be there, at least. Even because I know there'll be more than just me and you.
But yeah, we were always close. And I think you're always like the cool mom. And you're always, you know, you had the cool job. And you were everyone like, I don't know, I think you and dad are both like cool parents. Like I'm close with both of you. And it's like when like our friends growing up also enjoyed like hanging out with you guys and like talking to you guys. And I feel like that's still like today, like Tommy's friends, when they come over,
Yeah.
hang out with you guys just as much as they hang out with like Tommy and everyone. So
Yeah, and it's always funny for me because I sometimes I remember, oh, I'm the parent. Like I think that I'm one of them in a weird way. Like we'll all hanging out, whatever, at the beach or whatever. And I think my perspective is like I'm one of them, and then suddenly I realize, oh, I'm the parent here. You know, and it's
Yeah.
weird because I can't process that because I don't see myself that way. I see myself as like somebody they can talk to openly about whatever it is, and I relate. I also
Yeah.
think because I relate to what younger generations are going through. And being on social media obviously is a very big piece of the younger generation. And I am so well versed in that I feel like it's not like an outsider speaking to them about, oh, that silly TikTok, or, I'm like in it deeper than them, So I think that does help, because I've always embraced whatever the technology is moving forward. So
yeah. Okay. I feel like this one is from Michelle Papal-Pagli.
Oh, yes.
Did I say that right? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
And she asked,
Papale-Pagli.
Papale, does your mother-daughter relationship enhance our working relationship? Seems like yes is like the question. But I would say yes.
Yeah, I would say yes too. I mean, obviously it helps because we already know each other, so the dynamic is there. We can be straight up honest. If it's a lot easier if like I have an idea and Julie's like, that's a terrible idea. She would probably never say that in a meeting to someone else. She'd be more political about how she would phrase.
I'm still very political and kind when I'm rejecting your ideas.
But you don't have to be with me, do you? You could say.
I know, but like.
You've said to me, I don't know, that's a terrible idea. And I'm like, you're right, it is. And I don't mind.
I guess.
I'd rather.
I'm nice about things. I'm like, we can try
it. And then I go, I know, it's a terrible idea. But you know what? Let's just give you the big props for the good idea. This podcast.
Thank you.
I mean, really. I know that we've never really said this on a podcast. We talk about it on some of our content, but this was Julie's idea to do this. She tried to convince me to do this, I want to say, starting a year ago. And I just did not see what we were going to add to the podcast world. And I'm so happy that I jumped over that hump and said, all right, let's just try it, Julie. Let's do it. And I'm just so happy to be here. And I feel that we are able to talk about relatable topics, and we are relating to different groups of people out there. And I just can't believe, thank you, Julie. That's what I have to say.
You're welcome.
You were right.
It's like I was right. And we have it on recorded that I was right.
You were right.
But
so, this has been really fun. Let's keep going. What else you got?
Well, I was going to say, I think one note about working together as a mother and daughter relationship. One thing I really appreciate and love is also that creative freedom that you give me, because you trust me, but also being able to talk openly about how I'm feeling mentally, and so that, especially going through this past year and having a really hard time coping with things in the wake of everything going on, it's really helpful that you're my boss and I can say I'm having a really hard time. I need your help to pick up my slack almost, or just I'm keeping the ship running, but I need help. And it's a lot easier to tell that to you than a boss who might understand. I've had bosses before who are I don't believe in feeling overwhelmed. It's
right.
You don't believe in emotions then. Right. So I think that is really, and it's not just because I'm your daughter, but it's I wish more bosses had that emotional connection to understand
I know that you're, number one, I know that you're committed to your job, and so I know you're going to get the work done. I think what I have been because I was a working mom, and sometimes I'd had to get to a thing, but my bosses always knew I was going to get the task done, even if it was at midnight or 2 a.m. or whatever. So I have that same respect for you. Okay, this is not a good time, but I know X, Y, and Z tasks have to get done. You're going to do them. So whenever that needs to happen, I respect that it's going to happen. So I don't feel well, you're not at your desk and it's 10 o'clock. I'm not that kind of person, because I know the work's going to get done whenever it gets done. So I appreciate that. And I do trust you for that you're going to get things done. I also will say,
thank you.
I have not been a person who's had a lot of mental health issues personally until recently. And this isn't about that, but I'm going to just mention, I'm almost more empathetic to the things that you're feeling at times, because now I'm going through them. I was positive and everything's great, cancer, got through it, oh yay. And then all of a sudden now I weep at the drop of a hat, because I think about, I'm at Tommy's piano recital and I'm bawling, literally. Could not stop trying uncontrollably, because I'm looking at him and thinking, my God, I might not have been able to see this or hear this even if I wasn't around. And I just start getting into that state, and it's uncontrollable. And sometimes for hours I can't get out of it. And then it's the same thing happens with my hair. I look in the mirror and I know everybody's cool, your hair is cool. And since the last episode, I've ditched the wigs and I'm going forward. but I still look in the mirror and I don't see the person that I think I am or the vibe I feel like I'm giving off still. And I know I'm trying so hard and I'm listening to the comments and I'm embracing. Yes, it's cool. It's edgy. I'm listening to you. I get it. But I also still don't feel it 100%, and I start crying uncontrollably. So now having these weird breakdowns and moments where I don't understand what's going on, and they make no sense because I shouldn't be crying about my hair. It's going to grow back. But it's just, I think now that I'm experiencing it, I can be way more empathetic to what you're going through when you have days like that where you're feeling overwhelmed and you don't know why you're feeling these emotional down times. Mm-hmm. So.
It sucks, but we are going to do an episode about mental health that we both agreed we needed to be in the same room for that.
Yeah, we definitely do. And it's not like we're both like falling apart at the seams, but PTSD is real. And even though I've said to my doctor when I talked about it, I was like, I don't want to trivialize. Wait, how would I say it? I feel like I'm being trivial that I'm having PTSD when people have much more trauma than me. And so she said, do not belittle your own trauma because you've been through trauma. Yeah. And it's hard for me to accept that because I think, oh my gosh, people have so much worse. Why am I getting so upset about this? But, it's real. Unfortunately, I'm learning that you can you can be happy, joyful, and all of that, and you could be upset suddenly at the drop of a hat, and that doesn't make me less happy, if that makes any sense.
Well, that was a long tangent.
But... Oh, it was a tangent. We needed that tangent, though, because that was a tangent that I wish I had addressed on the last episode, but we just kind of ran out of time. And plus, I was still wearing my wigs then, so I was still in denial of my moving forward.
I figured we could take a quick break and talk about the creative forecast really fast.
Good.
Because we work together and we love working together. We just want to remind everybody that we have an amazing newsletter that goes out every Monday, and we share trends, original content ideas, tutorials on how to create better social media content, and it's called The Creative Forecast.
And it can be found in the link that is included with this podcast in the notes, right?
Yeah, it'll be in the show notes.
It'll be in the show notes.
It's totally free, and we would absolutely love if you signed up for it or had any feedback about it. Yeah. It's just something we do every week for work, but it's also really fun. Like, it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah, it's actually good research for us, too, because we're creating and we need to keep up with the trends and the music and all of that. So since we're doing the research for ourselves, we are now putting it out and sharing with whoever wants it, needs it, and can utilize it. Even social media managers and people in the social media world.
I was going to say, the idea came because I worked in the social media world as a content creator, a social media manager, a strategist, pretty much every role you can have under the sun in social media I've had. And this was the resource I wish I always had. So sign up for it. It'll be fun.
All right.
And yeah.
Do it.
We can keep on going.
Monica Garvin. Yeah, let's do Monica Garvin. She leaves us great reviews, and we love her.
She always has good questions.
And I'm going to just read it. She's from the South a bit, so she has y'all in her question. Did y'all or did y'all ever deal with imposter syndrome? If so, how do you deal with it and not let it stunt your creative process? Take it, Jewel.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, yeah. I feel like it's really hard to deal with imposter syndrome and feel, especially now working for you, working at this startup together. My title is Chief Operating Officer and Creative Director, and I have a lot of imposter syndrome issues, like owning those titles. Mm-hmm. And Grace has been really helpful in trying to help me get confidence and feeling good about telling people that I am a COO and a creative director. Mm-hmm. But, like, it's really hard because I'm like, I shouldn't be here. Like, I'm not. Someone's going to come up and snatch me and be like, nope, like, you're not good enough for this. So it's really, really hard to, it is really hard to deal with. And I try to not let it stunt my creative process because I feel really confident in my creativity. Like, of all the things in my life, I'm not very good with confidence sometimes, but, my creativity is, one area of myself where I always have, 100% confidence.
Nice. I love that. So, I'm going to say, too, you disadvantage. You're 26 years old. So in fairness to you, life gives you confidence too, just living it. So as you get older, it comes automatically. So it's a lot easier for somebody who's 62 versus 26 to say, have confidence, believe in yourself. You have to develop that through life lived experiences. And so that is going to get better and better because you're already way more confident than I think I was at 26. So go girl. You go girl.
I don't know.
I think so. So from my perspective, I'm going to talk about imposter syndrome from two angles. And I could talk from multiple angles, but I'm going to pick two. So the first being on TikTok and having 760,000 followers and quote, that gives you, I'm not going to say celebrity status, but people are like, I meet with people on Zooms now occasionally, and they're like, oh my God, I'm meeting with the famous person. And I am laughing because I'm like, what? That is just not. So now I feel like I am an imposter. Like, do they actually think that I am, a famous, like a celebrity? So it's funny. And to me, it's more amusing, and I enjoy it because I'm like, I'm famous, haha. But I know who I am in my soul, and I know that, I'm not a big time celebrity. This is like TikTok. It's a very, TikTok, which at this moment could go away as far as we know, as of this moment where there's still, there's still debate whether it's going to be around. So I know that it's in a large world, it's a smaller thing. And so I have that reality in my head. And I think I'm still the same person, but I can understand, my gosh, these big celebrities, they must get so caught up in it because it's so easy to get caught up in it. But I have a really strong base. So I never feel worried about that. I'm just like, yes, I am TikTok famous and I do tutorials. And, I'm also working and schlepping something to FedEx right now. So you know what I mean? That's the reality. All right. So now, but the other way I want to talk about it is being approached by a venture capital team and then participating in an entrepreneur in residence program, being funded for a startup, not knowing anything about that world. I literally felt like an imposter. I'm like, how did I get here? That was crazy. So I do think we all can have imposter syndrome no matter what level we're at in our life. I could feel the same way as a TV director, directing a commercial for, Conair or with the NFL or Lumi deodorant. And I'm just like, how did I get here? I just laugh. But I know that all of my life's experience got me here. And so you can just know in your soul that you're building that just by living it. You're building your own real syndrome that's not an imposter just by living living your truth and doing the job and just putting your best foot forward. I don't know if that's advice or if that's just, that's just how I deal with it.
I feel like that leads into the next question from Monica. It was directed at you. It said, Helen, what was your experience being a woman in such a male-dominated industry and tips you would give your younger Helen self trying to make it?
Okay. First off, when you think about that as a male-dominated industry, I almost don't realize that it was. I never really saw, oh, that's a guy, I can't do what he can do. And I never really faced it, I don't think, head on. I don't think I was as consciously aware of it. Maybe subconsciously I was, but not outwardly. So I just continued to be the best at what I was doing and then be valued for being the best at that. So I did always think, I can't be a director. Most of the directors are men, and that's like that I thought was a male-dominated job. But producing...
We'll talk about that, because I was going to say, production naturally is, very male-dominated. How does it feel going onto set being,
oh my gosh,
the female director now?
It's so cute. It's so cool because there was a PA that came up to me, and she said, oh, when you walked in, and I must have been wearing a certain thing, and she said, I was thinking to myself, that is a role model walking in. Because I just came in, and I was just one of everyone. I was part of a team. I wasn't trying to be like, I'm the boss, flip the scarf, let's go, taking over. It was like, hi, everybody, introduce myself to everybody, make sure that we knew we were all working together. It wasn't like somebody was taking over and going to negate everyone else's decisions. So I think that I just approached it in my own style, not a male or female style, just my own style.
I was going to say almost to a point, you used your feminine strength of building community and making people feel really comforted to succeed. I feel
that's great insight.
In a weird way. It's not oh, only women can foster great relationships. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying women gathered and talk. And I mean, I waited 2 hours in line at a sample sale last week and made friends with everybody in line, and we all chatted for 2 hours. Didn't feel like 2 hours, but it's almost like that aspect of like women's inherent need and like strength of building community is like what you used, I feel like, to your advantage of like making everyone on set feel really comfortable and involved and like
Yeah, being a leader doesn't have to mean being a boss. I just feel like, and as much as I love the word boss, be a boss babe, and it's fun and everything, but to me, boss almost sounds negative, right? To me, like being a leader is somebody who's like willing to work and foster collaboration and foster like a community, but being able to lead that community. And I think that goes into, we're going to talk about that in the next episode, actually, when we talk about, traditions or one of the episodes. But I do think that my nature of building and bringing people together is something that has helped me dominate in a male-dominated world, if you will. Because as a director, I think people look for someone that collaborates and doesn't just boss everyone around and tell them that it's my way or the highway. So let's also address this idea of me not even realizing it was a male-dominated industry, because I don't really take people for like, oh, you're a guy, you're a girl, we got to count heads, we got to know what's the balance. I don't even think about it. If I walk into a room and there's 7 guys in there, I don't even think I'd realize, oh, it's me against the guys. I would never even think that. It would just be like, okay, you're the art director. I would more look at them for what their roles are, what their expertise is. And I do think that might be generational. And it's funny to me because I think I'm from a generation that might have looked at that more that way, but my nature is not that way. I look at more the skill set versus male, female, or otherwise. All right, so Julie, one more from Monica. How was it graduating and working random odd jobs while so many people around you were working in more traditional roles with stable incomes? Do you have a hard time comparing yourself?
Yeah. The simple and short answer is yes. It was like very difficult when I graduated and I moved to Chicago, and all my friends were working in tech jobs, were working in consulting, and they had 9-to-5s, they had really good incomes, and here I was. When I first moved to Chicago, I walked dogs and I freelanced on the side, and then I got a job at the Allbirds store working retail, and then still freelancing, doing random odd jobs, and even doing that through college. It was really hard because I just felt like, especially as like a new post-grad living in a big city, all my friends are like so excited to have like income and money, and I was just like, well, I don't know if I want to go out and spend like $13 on a cocktail. Like, that's an hour of working at the Allbirds store and dealing with customers, and I don't like working in retail. So it was really hard to not compare myself when everyone around me was seemingly like swimming in money and stability, and I felt like I was almost like flailing and like, what am I doing? Like moments of like, am I doing something wrong is like kind of one of the biggest things I had in my head. I was like, should I, like, I feel like I'm doing something wrong, like that I don't want, that, because I didn't want, the reason I did all the odd jobs and freelance was I didn't really know where I saw myself in the creative world. If I went to school to be a graphic designer and photographer, but I wasn't really like, I didn't want to just, I worked at the athletic department at Michigan. I didn't want to work at a company and use the same 3 colors, do the same thing day in and day out. Like, I didn't just want to make web banners. And that really freaked me out, like not having that range. So it was really hard, but I think all those experiences like led up to me finding like my path in like social media, I guess.
I think one thing that you can think about now is there's so many people, not just women, there's a lot of people out there that are reinventing themselves in different decades again and again and again. And it's so funny that you can now have that as an example to see like, all right, this is just my first decade, like my 20s. You're not even, you could reinvent yourself every 5 years if you wanted to. So I think it's what's cool about social media in my mind is that you get to see all that more. Whereas prior, we were only able to see what the media was showing us on the news, for example, or on shows. Now with social media, you can see thousands and thousands of examples of men, women, older people, younger people changing their paths and finding new new direction. It's funny because think about me at 62 years old. Like, I don't know. I'm now teaching social media content creation. I never thought that was on the table. That was crazy to think about. Yeah. So I think there's so much time, and I think that you have to allow yourself that. And it's hard to see that when you're right here and now and you're looking at your peers and you're only comparing yourself to your peers. So, I mean, hopefully with every passing year, you'll realize that you can change what you're doing and do whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Okay, let's end on one last question. Do you want to pick out the question or do you want me to pick it out?
You can pick it out.
Okay. Who are some people that inspire us?
Did
you not want me to take that one?
I knew you were going to pick that one.
One's from
I'll
Teen.
go with it. I like it. I mean, I like it. I just always find a struggle because I'm inspired by so many people every single day. I mean, it's continuous. The inspiration that you find on social media and you find even on the news when I watch Changemakers with Tamsin Fadal, she brings people on that are doing amazing things. So I feel like we could be inspired every day if we open our eyes and listen. And it's so amazing. The people I love to see.
Don't beat around the bush. Answer the question.
I don't want to answer the question. No, I'll answer this. I think I've said this at some point in time before. One time I was at a women's luncheon, and there was a speaker, and they always have like celebrity speakers, and Goldie Hawn was the speaker. And I only knew Goldie Hawn as like a comedic actress who was very pretty, and I thought, wow, she's going to speak at this event. And I was blown away because I said, businesswoman, smart, well-spoken. I mean, she had so many other things that I, as a young, in my 20s, I think at the time, person at this event, didn't know anything about that. And I remember in that moment thinking, oh, I want her to play me in my life story someday because she was so, I just felt like she could be all these things, fun, funny, smart, talented, sexy, cute, and all of these roles that she played, but intelligent, just well-respected, and like a smart businesswoman. And I just remember being so inspired by her. So there you go. I'm going to say my person. What about you?
Is that it? I mean, you inspire me, obviously. If we're talking like, I don't know, bigger people, I don't know. It's like really hard. I'm not like into celebrities too much. I mean, right now I'm very into Taylor Swift, and I feel like she's very like cool, and like people roll their eyes when you tell them like you're into Taylor Swift. But I just think she's really
amazing.
Smart, and she's really talented, and I just think there is like this level. And I also know, when I see celebrities and people are like, oh, this person's amazing, it's like that person has just built a spectacular team around them, which also takes incredible skill. So I really like Taylor Swift because I think she's really smart. Like, her marketing is genius. Like, the way she just does things is really well thought out. And that's also, a reflection on like the team she's built around her, which is also a skill. So I think that is just really cool. Like, she drops these Easter eggs and like these hints, and like all of her stuff is like this insane fabric that's weaved together. And it's like, it's not just her sitting at her desk with like a crazy person looking at a wall and stringing things together. It's like she's got people, like creative people around her. So,
and you know what else about her? I mean, she has created community with her fan base. I mean, she has the most loyal fan base you're ever going to find out there, I think. But it's just incredible to watch. I also have enjoyed watching her grow up. When you think about, she started as this young kind of countryish singer, right? And then now she's just kind of grown up, and we've watched it in real time. And it's just beautiful to see. It's also great to see how she deals with negativity. She's a great example of how to deal with negativity and the things that have happened to her publicly that have been, she could have taken a way different approach. So I respect her as well. So that was a good choice.
Thank you.
All right, that's it for today. Thanks so much for listening. Yours truly,
Helen and Julie.
Don't forget to follow us on social media. I am at The Mothership with a U, and Julie is at Truly Julie without an E on TikTok, and her Instagram will also be posted in the show notes. Don't forget that together we are HelloSocialize.com. a platform that teaches content creation, provides tutorials, workshops, classes, and of course, the Creative Forecast, our weekly email that provides trend suggestions, content ideas, tutorials, and music
All the
suggestions.
things.
All the things to help make your content creating a lot easier. Please leave us a review if you've enjoyed the podcast. We love reading the reviews, and we will feature them in future episodes. Thank you to our producer, Grace, who's listening in. As always, we love her. Our engineers at Melrose Podcast Studios on the East Coast and the West Coast. Who do you have with you there as your engineer, Julie? Morgan? Okay, Morgan's there. Patrick's here, right? And lastly, make sure to tune in next week. Thank you so much for listening.